Target. I don't actually have a problem with Target rolling back their DEI efforts. I am a Black woman in the United States of America. I have no problem. Southwest Airlines. Poor Southwest. Poor babies. Probably 20% of the people that are upset are the loyal customers. And then there's 80% of people that fly Southwest once a year. That's one trip a year. You are not paying the electric bill for the Southwest Airlines headquarters. They don't need you. I really want to talk about Costco now. Costco is on the other side of this whole they secured more customers, more support, more virality with one sentence. We will not roll back our DEI policies. There is something to be said for standing up and being who you say you are. I'm Shauna K. Henson. Welcome back to another episode of the UnCultured podcast, where we talk about the ins and outs of corporate culture and why that should matter to you, and that corporations should build cultures that matter. And when we talk about culture here, we are talking about both the internal and external perceptions that a company gives off on purpose, right? And so we talk a lot about companies lining up with their values. What they say they are, they must in fact be. And that is the mark of a good corporate culture. So the challenge is that a lot of corporations don't in fact level up or line up to who they say they are. They establish these very lofty missions and lofty vision statements, and they don't in fact really let the rubber meet the road at every turn. So today I want to talk about three companies that have been in the news a lot lately around a lot of changes that they've been making and that they've decided to do. Some for the good, some not. And, hey, let's talk about all the things that it means in between. So let's talk about Target, Costco, and Southwest Airlines. So first up, let's talk about Target, right? So lately in the news, there have been these national DEI rollback demands, right? That corporations have been given permission to roll back their DEI. And for those of you who don't know what DEI is, it's diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. They've been given permission to roll those efforts back. And some companies have taken the liberty to do so. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is the opportunity for companies to take a stand. There have been systemic, and we cannot argue this, there have been systemic challenges that face people of color, women, disabled persons, and LGBTQIA+ humans. And with all of those inherent discrepancies, diversity, equity, and inclusion came as a kind of a mandated, percentage-based, and also encouraged on principle, programmatic thrust that would encourage companies to include on purpose people that have been othered. And that's really all it has been. People that have been othered by virtue of what we would consider standard social perception. That is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And while I am not necessarily here to debate the merits or whatever of diversity, equity, and inclusion, so don't come for me about that. I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here for that. What I am here to talk about is what the effects are of taking a stance for or against that thing in the workplace as it is right now, today, as it pertains to Target specifically. So with Target, when the permission was given to roll back these efforts and really the national encouragement to roll it back under the new administration, Target rolls their DEI efforts back, thinking, hey, we're going to just roll them back. We're going to do that because that's what we want to do. So they are on a list. And of course, the internet is the internet. And so there's this list rolling around the internet of all these companies that have rolled back their DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. And Target was at the top of the list. And so all this controversy broke out over Target's stance around rolling back their DEI efforts. There were calls for boycotts. People were, like going into the Targets and showing how empty they were and that whole bit. And while that might have been a momentary thing, it turns out weeks and I think now months later, nope, it's still impacting their bottom line. And they are having a tough time for all intents and purposes recovering from that. Considering the fact, because we're here to talk about culture, right? Corporate culture. Considering the fact that Target has been a company that was known for promoting and highlighting Black-owned and Black-led brands and funding and supporting for marketing and the whole bit, that was a huge programmatic thrust of theirs during the course of the pandemic. If they came out saying that it was really, really important for them to do that kind of work. They have done commercials that are highlighting diverse people and persons, and they have done all these things to show their commitment commitment to diversity. And then the rollback of DEI comes and they are being boycotted. They are being shunned. They are being disengaged by their core base of customer. Why? Because they are not, by doing that action, they are not being who they said they were. Now, that's from a front-facing perspective. I have no idea what's going on internally inside of Target headquarters. If people are quitting on principle, if people feel like they signed up to work for a diverse company or a company that prioritized diversity, and now by rolling back the initiative, they feel like they were lied to, or maybe they themselves don't feel prioritized anymore. All of those things could be true because at the end of the day, they are not being who they said they were. Now, I don't actually have a problem with Target rolling back their DEI efforts. Again, I'm not here to argue about DEI. Don't come for me about it. I don't actually have a problem. I am a Black woman in the United States of America. I have no problem with Target declaring that they are rolling back their DEI efforts. Here's my corporate culture challenge with what Target did. When you are aware that a huge component of your constituency is in fact deeply connected to this long held principle that you not 4 years ago were touting as your kind of, high point. If you don't offer them something else to attach to, then you are not in fact going to be able to retain them. If you are not giving them an opportunity to love you for something new at the same time that you're taking something away, you're missing an opportunity. I cannot tell you what prompted Target to make this specific change. All I can tell you is what it appears like from a culture perspective, that no matter what they say, what they said they valued, they do not actually. And so then it's really about which part of this was for show. There are reports that Target stakeholders and stockholders are deeply challenged by the way that the company has been affected with this one policy change. And I think that it's easy to underestimate the value of having core principles and tenets that you become known for. And if you take your time to understand who it is you are serving, then you have a better opportunity to show up front facing. Now let's talk about internally. If this were me and I were going to roll back the diversity, equity, and inclusion clause or like programs and things inside of my company, again, I don't have a problem with Target doing it at all. I don't know what they're doing or why they did it. I don't know the ins and outs of their bottom lines and whether or not it made a difference that they were doing it in the first place. I don't know. Probably, but I don't know. If it were me, and I were faced with the decision, I would be doing one of two things. One, I would be making a very unemotional decision. It would not be emotional. The decision would be in totally based on trends in the market. Are our diverse front-facing programs adding to our bottom line? Are they creating a culture of inclusivity and comfort inside of our workspace where people feel seen, heard, and understood, and they feel represented? Are we attracting the right talent with these things in place as they are right now? And would that talent be affected if we remove and roll back this process? Because those are the questions of culture. And those are the questions that are affecting the bottom line of any big corporation. And I think sometimes, as consumers, we like to look at these choices as highly emotional. We're very connected to our own identities because we are, and that's who we are as people. We're connected to our own identities. And so we want to feel included. We want to feel represented. We want to feel heard and understood, same as, employees. And then when companies do things that make us feel not that, or make us feel othered, or make us feel, in this particular case, excluded, then it starts to feel like I don't want to be involved, which is what Target is seeing in the marketplace right now. But that also goes to show why culture is so important. Because if it is in fact your culture, that means it's a core principle. If it's a core principle, then it's unmovable. If it's unmovable, then it doesn't matter what's happening by suggestion. It's not something you have to do or engage in. And so then what do you stand for, companies, corporations? What do you stand for? And listen, it doesn't matter what you stand for. What matters is that you stand for what you say you stand for in every single circumstance. So it is difficult to observe a company who had all of this, talk around supporting Black companies, and during the course of the pandemic, it makes it feel like it was just a moment of convenience. It does. It makes it feel like that. And it's one thing to say, oh, here's what we were doing front facing. We're just talking about our diversity, equity, and inclusion internally. Well, how does that make anyone feel that is coming to work for you if they came to work for you under the guise that that was a core value because it was presented that way in the front facing world where that was the only interaction they had with your company before they came to be an employee. And so I'm kind of saying this ethereally. I understand that the majority of the people that are listening to this are not running the company. You're majorly working for the company, but I want to give you stuff to think about when you are thinking about where to give your time, your effort, and your energy. Because listen, you know this, you have value, you are worthy, and you have a big calling in this earth to deploy and to execute. So it doesn't make sense for you to spend all your time, effort, and energy exhausting yourself for a company that doesn't actually give you the kind of culture that you can attach to. Culture in the sense of work is chosen. You're born with a certain degree of culture, right? Because you're born into a culture by virtue of your family circle. But then there are certain cultures that you can choose. As you become older, right? Like you get to choose your culture of friends. Like what kinds of friends do you want? You get to choose the culture of the place where you work. That is your choice. And so you need to think about a holistic picture of where it is that you want to be as an employee. And then, hey, listen, if you are the person that's running, Target first, you should probably call me. We have some things to discuss. But aside from that, like if you're running any company, large or small, what do you stand for? And how do you ensure that you do not contradict at a different phase what you said you stood for at another phase without offering your front facing audience and your internal audience, AKA your employees, a reasonable, rational, and attachable explanation? If you're not explaining yourself, you are not in fact leading. And if you stop leading, people will stop following. And when people stop following, that is how you really lean into turnover. And it might not be instantaneous. What I find most is that employees detach first, and then you remember the season of life where we were talking about the quiet quit, and people would decide that they were leaving and then stop doing anything in the direction of supporting the company. Like they would do their baseline job, but the effort stops. The actual working, the innovation, the effort, like all that just stopped because they had already quit. They just hadn't sent in their letter of resignation yet. So now I want to talk about Southwest Airlines, right? So Target, call me. Like, like this we can fix you. Because really, honestly, here's the free game. The fix is that you need to tell people what you do stand for. All you've done at this point, Target CEO, CMO, CHOT, whatever, see somebody. All you've done at this point is tell them is taking something away. We are all just big kids. Take something away from us, we are going to holler, okay? If you're not telling us what we get instead, you're leaving a gap. Leaving that gap and leaving humans to fill in the gap on their own, you're now leaving your entire stock. The price of your stock is in the hands of the imaginations of individual people. We don't do that. You have to give the people what it is that they need in order and not to fake it again, because this whole thing operates solely on authenticity. Who are you? And then be that. And that's all there is to it. That's really all there is to it. Who are you? And then be that. And once you do that, you attract either a new customer base or you bring the people back in. And hey, listen, this was a misunderstanding. We weren't saying that we didn't value you. That's not what we're saying at all. We're saying that we're removing these things to XYZ thing, but have a reason, have a rationale, and tell them what they're getting instead. Okay, here we go. So let's move forward to Southwest Airlines. All right, poor Southwest, poor babies. Lord have mercy. I was advocating for y'all, right? Because honestly, in my opinion, like take this for what it's worth, Southwest, I really don't think that the people that are making the most noise are getting on your planes every other week. I don't think that. I think that they travel once or twice a year and it's difficult. Now, I posted something like that on Facebook and I got reamed for it, okay? I would just like to tell you, I got my head bitten off by a mother of two who said I was not being family friendly. Shout out to you. You know who you are. And then I got reamed by people who said the thing that is probably the most interesting of all this and why Southwest Airlines is making my list of companies to talk about in the way of corporate culture is this. This was the only reason to fly with Southwest. Now, again, corporate culture, two areas. Externally, we call that brand, right? But it is also an expression of your corporate culture. Your brand, that must be authentic, is an expression of your internal corporate culture. That's why we say the way that I discuss it is corporate culture is in two places. It is externally to the customers, the front-facing customers, and then it's internally to the employees, right? But you must be who you say you are. Now, whole time, Southwest Airlines has given y'all free bags. Then Southwest Airlines decides y'all not getting free bags out of us anymore. And also, this isn't industry standard and we don't have to keep doing it. and I'm filling in a lot of phrases. I don't know that they said any of this, but they did say after whatever date, no more free bags. Everybody's paying for a bag unless unless you achieve status, get our credit card, and like do the stuff, do the things that are kind of normalized at this point for other airlines. But unless you do all this stuff, now the free bags from Southwest Airlines are all gone in the wind. Okay. Gone. All right. Here today, gone tomorrow. So the thing that was interesting to me was watching the Southwest loyalists, the people that actually in this case do in fact have status with Southwest, watching them all say, this hurt. Emotional attack, because they're loyalists to the brand, right? So they're loyalists to the, say it with me, culture. They are loyalists to the culture. And then to discover that the culture has been shifted without their involvement. Right now, to be fair, like you don't have to involve all your customers in every corporate decision that you make, but you do end up with moments like this where people that have been loyal to your brand are now disenchanted with the way that you are choosing to move forward. And while I don't actually have a dog in the fight about the choice, I earnestly think, again, that the people that are making the most noise about it are not the most loyal customers. I do, in fact, think that it's probably an 80-20 split. Probably 20% of the people that are upset are the loyal customers, like the person that I'm mentioning right now. And then there's 80% of people that fly Southwest once a year. And listen, from a business perspective, I don't mean any harm. That's one trip a year. You are not paying the electric bill for the Southwest Airlines headquarters with that one trip a year. So please don't take this personally. They don't need you. You know what I'm saying? And so then with them not needing you, they are not considering you, and that's cool. But they are in fact upsetting people that are loyalists and do in fact have the status and the whole bit. So what I find interesting is the way that when people attach to the culture of the brand that they can see, because that's all they can do. All they can go off what they see and what you tell them. So if you're telling them that these two bags being free is their way of showing love for you and the whole nine, then okay, great. Now you have to always love them that way. Like, period. You have to always love them that way, or they will in fact be like this young woman that I'm mentioning that was in my comment section saying, this hurt me. This hurt me. I've been with them forever. All I want to do is fly with them. This one hurt. And it felt to a lot of people, because I queried, it felt to a lot of people that it felt inconsiderate. It felt disrespectful. It felt all of these things. This one policy change. And then again, same deal, right? It's the positioning. Because again, we're talking about the customer side of things. And then internally, they also went through a massive firing. So now we're saying we are now firing people for the first time in, 20 years, like mass firing of people. Because Southwest has always been the airline that really, really valued its employees and really, really valued how they held up the standard. I remember sitting in a session once and listening to one of the higher ups at Southwest explain how much they valued their people, and now completely fired tons of people, way more than they have. I know for sure in the last couple of decades, and I know that because somebody that I happen to be connected to that works for South. So I'm saying all that to say now morale is challenged internally. I'm gonna go back to external in a second. Now morale is challenged internally. The company that I thought I was completely safe with, and I love them so much because they love me too. Like their employees get little Southwest heart pins because it's all lovey, all the love things, right? We love everybody. Everybody loves us. And then they made this big sweeping thing without explanation. Again, it is leaving the perception of your culture and your brand in the hands of individual imaginations. That's actually the problem. I don't have a problem with the choices. Firing people is tough. And so there's that. But what about the exit strategy? Statement from Southwest. Imagine that this is it, because this is not it. I do not work with, nor am I affiliated with Southwest Airlines. Although again, Southwest, call me. You know what I mean? But imagine the statement goes something like this: due to unforeseen circumstances, we must in fact participate in a mass layoff that we did not anticipate having to do. And we haven't done one in 20 years. We are living in unprecedented times, and we are working really diligently to navigate them internally to keep ourselves afloat and to provide you as a customer with the same service that we've always provided you with, while also continuing to value our employees as we have always done since our inception. Even though we have to engage in this layoff, which we deeply regret. Hello, those words. that we deeply regret, we are offering all of the employees affected by this major change an offboarding process that will allow them to consider their dreams, and we will support them in moving on in their career in any way that we can. There's no gaps. There are no gaps. The only thing you don't know is what exactly shifted in their business model that's forcing them to do this. But that part doesn't matter as much because what they're communicating is their culture. Internally, we value people. We value you. We want it to be good. We want to make sure that you're able to move forward. And we care about you so much that even though we have to make a business choice, even if it costs us a little money, we're going to provide you with a systematic process of offboarding that allows you to consider what you want to do next. We're not just going to give you an exit meeting and make sure you're not, going to do anything retaliatory. We're going to support you as you move forward. We're going to help you exit into your next best thing because everybody has a next best thing. And if corporations would really just embrace that each person is on an individual journey to their own vision and version of success, some of this stuff would just become part of the natural process. We have to let people go. We're not just going to give them a severance package. We're going to give them coaching for 6 months so that they can craft what it is that they're going to do next. Somebody you fire might even look forward to that. Man, I've been waiting to get out of here, but I didn't know what I was going to do next. So thanks, y'all. Right? But that's a shift to a human-centered approach and not just a dollars and cents approach to running a company. And it's necessary in this time. We are living in unprecedented times, and that is true. And the thing is, we all know it. So it wouldn't even be a big thing to say. If nothing else, we have all living at this point survived a global pandemic. And no matter what happened in your world, your life was affected by that global pandemic. We are living in unprecedented times. We live in the era of social media where influencers have 15 million followers and you've never heard of them. We live in a wild time. We live in a wild time. We live in a wild time, right? So if we're saying that the time is unprecedented and so that it makes sense. So it doesn't matter the reason. Saying we're living in an unprecedented time automatically makes us all together. And that's true. We are, by and large. Okay, so that's internally Southwest Airlines. Again, call me. Should I say my statement is copywritten? I'm just playing. You can have it. I don't care. So the other part is also if you use it Southwest, tag me. You know what I'm saying? Shauna Hansen. But if on the front facing side of things, right? On the front facing side of things, when we're talking about your consumer base, it's kind of the same thing. Hey, listen, we have to start charging for bags. We have been able to avoid this shift. We're the last airline standing, and we still plan to give you the best service that we possibly can. You can still expect our airline hostesses is what I'm going to call them, an airline hostess, not stewardess. But our airline hostesses or hosts to give you the best service in the planet. You can expect the friendliest, the most welcoming environment. You can expect the cleanest planes. You can expect all of these things no matter what you do, and we respect your choices. We are not just taking these bags, we're changing the way that we do things. We are now offering a robust rewards program that we hope you'll take advantage of. We have perks that we have been considering for a while that we wanted to offer, and this is our best way forward to offer this rewards program in such a way that you benefit over and over and over again for your loyalty with our airline. We appreciate you. We consider you family. We want the best for you and your family. So as a matter of fact, because to be fair, Southwest, this is actually something you need to probably do. And so what we're going to do as a first step is we're going to create family packages where children are able to fly for X thing, whatever, or children get a bag, or that's these things are the things where you're going to get your people back, Southwest, right? So it's beyond all of the actual statements and things. What's important is filling in the gaps for the people. That is culture. Communicating culture is the work of brand. Externally communicating culture is the work of brand. Communicating culture internally is corporate culture. Deciding what matters, deciding what you're going to stand for, deciding who you are, and then being that at all times. And that is the work. I really want to talk about Costco now. Because Costco is on the other side of this whole thing. And I don't know why it's so funny, but by contrast, to a Target who made a massive change that was in contrast to things that they have touted before as their primary goals in life, and to a Southwest who offered no explanation that was really comprehensive enough. Like I have, a Southwest account, right? I'm a Delta loyalist, by the way. Also Delta, call me. But I have a Southwest account. So after some of this stuff started coming out, I started to get emails about the rewards program. But they were just the regular emails about the rewards program. Hey, come be in the rewards program. There was no explanation about how that rewards program is technically in place, replacing and kind of giving opportunity for the bags being taken away. Again, taking things. We're all big kids. Just the visualization of just being taken from, nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. So you've got to offer something else. So if you're going to take the teddy bear, you got to give a bigger teddy bear and mean it. Listen, you cannot be out here shucking and jiving with humans, y'all. For real. Corporation leaders, listen, you can't be out here shucking and jiving with humans. And if you work for a company, don't let nobody shuck and jive with you, And that's like, I think I just declared that I'm from Baltimore. And I'm going to say it again. Don't let nobody. Don't let them shuck and jive with you in that way, right? For the young people, shuck and jive means to play with you. So don't let anybody do that to you. You are worth more than that, right? Working for a company that says they're one thing and then completely behaves in the opposite direction, that's not who needs your time, effort, or your energy. That's not the way that should go. You should always be with and working for people and places that align with your mission center, yeah? And that also be who they say they are. They are being who they say they are all the time. All the time. Now, that's not necessarily individuals, right? Because I need to just like a slight disclaimer. Individuals miss the mark all the time. People make choices in their personal lives that end up in the news, and it's a big scandal in the whole bit. And we have to give people grace because people are people. But if no company should be run on the opinion of one person alone once it gets to a certain size. And the size companies that we're talking about are Fortune 500s and in that same general vicinity. No one person should be making all the choices, right? So once not one person is making all the choices, now the collective decision, the collective presentation should always be in alignment with what the company says it values and who it claims to be, not just who the CEO claims to be, because again, that's one individual person, and highest levels of companies should not be run by one human. Okay, so let me push play on this Costco part. Costco, by contrast to these other folks that are making choices and not offering explanations in the whole bit, Costco didn't change anything. Literally, Costco changed nothing. No consumer was thinking about the diversity, equity, and inclusion principles of Costco Wholesale Club. They were not thinking about it. But in 3 words or 4 words, maybe 6 words, doesn't matter. In one sentence, they secured more customers, more loyal followers, more support, more virality, more all of those things with one sentence. We will not roll back our DEI policies. There is something to be said for standing up and being who you say you are. Now, the reason this matters, it matters more to the employees than it did to anybody as a consumer. Because only the employees knew there were DEI policies inside of Costco. We didn't know that. We did not go to Costco to buy that pallet of eggs or pallet of, rice, which, by the way, they have big old pallets of rice. Nobody went in there to buy that pallet of rice because of their DEI policies. It didn't matter until they had to be who they said they were. And the only thing that mattered was that they were being who they said they were. That's it. My part about Costco in this is, well done. Again, it doesn't matter that it was diversity, equity, and inclusion. What matters is they had a policy and they didn't change that policy because they meant what they meant. We stand by our policy. We stand by our values. We stand by the thing that we said that we are. That is the essence of a good corporate culture. Now, are their employees burned out? I don't know. I haven't talked to any of them yet. And also, Costco, call me, I haven't talked to any of them yet. Maybe they are. Maybe there are some that are overworked. And so there are areas to work on. But the core of corporate culture is to authentically be, as a company, who you say you are. And once that's started, everything else can fall into place after that. Hey, thanks for tuning into the UnCultured podcast. I've been your host, Shauna K. Henson, lifestyle design coach, goal strategist, and corporate culture consultant. If this is your first time here, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with somebody you know. If you're coming back for more, thanks so much for being here, and I hope that you'll tune in again. No matter what you're doing in your life, remember to make intentional choices, and wherever you are starting, remember that's not where you have to finish. Your life is yours alone, and your next dream is only one goal strategy away from getting exactly what you desire.